Cheyenne, Cheyenne, hop on my pony from old Cheyenne.
Cheyenne. Well, you know, growing up here, it's just, there's so many memories. I think what Cheyenne, what I think about most, just growing up in Cheyenne and memories of Cheyenne, is just, when I was born in 1955, it was kind of I'm a baby boomer, so there were just so many young children my age. My dad was in World War II, and most of the dads were, and they had moved back and were raising families, and there were just so many kids. I mean, we just grew up as a big group of people. Going home after school, you know, you'd walk home with 30 different kids, just all down the street, and one by one they'd drop off and go home and play football, play basketball, practice anything together, help each other after school. It was just a very cohesive group, and I think it just all across all lines. One day we'd walk one way and walk Richard home, and the next day we'd walk the other way and walk Mark home, and just so many, and got along so well. I just don't remember fighting or scrapping much, you know. It's just such a, they were good times. They were just good times. Well, I think that probably, you know, although we had great times growing up, there were some hard times. I think when I was in high school, there were two high schools at the time. The Cheyenne Central High School it was the 60s, and they definitely experienced some racial tension and some civil rights tension, and they had to stage the high school, and the kids had to divide the class so they kind of would stretch out the school day. Some kids had to go early in the morning and get out at noon, and then others would go later in the afternoon, just to kind of separate the classes and get a big bunch of kids through a small building. That was those were tough times. You kind of had to read about it in the paper. We got two papers then, a morning paper and the afternoon paper. I mean, those were just maybe some of the high points of, you know, high school, junior high school times. So I guess I remember that. For some reason that came through my mind right then. Well, I guess just Cheyenne is here, and it's the size it is as far as a small city thriving on otherwise a dry desert plain, and it gets water through the foresight of men and women who thought to provide that 50 years ago, when the wells dried up and we really needed to think way into the future, and brought a lot of water and stored it in reservoirs. And I think that was a huge decision that was made that we benefit by today. And as the world changes and weather patterns change, and I think that's something we really need to not take for granted, that won't last for a long time, and certainly won't provide the growth that we're probably going to see in the next 100 years. So water's going to be something that has been taken care of in my generation, and I hope we're doing it well and wise for the next generation, so that the city can continue to grow in this dry, otherwise desert plain where we exist, where when we came here there was no trees, no lawn, no grass, no nothing. And now it's really a very beautiful city, trees and grass, and it's because of the water, so we need to keep that in mind, and I'm sure we will, but that's something I think of, and so I'll leave it with the water.